Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to GNR Central, and we got your news for today. So you guys may have seen my video from earlier this week where Richard Fortus talked about when Guns N' Roses may get into the studio to record a new record. Well, Slash gave an interview in Japan where he was asked a lot about a new GNR record and, some of the stuff behind the scenes. And here's what he had to say. Now, I apologize, the audio is not the best, but you guys should still be able to probably make it out.
Talked about there's material and stuff going on already for a new record. So it's just with Guns N' Roses, you don't go, oh, there was a plan and it's going to be like this, because that's not how it works. So basically the only real answer to give is we're hoping to put a new record out and we'll just see what happens when it happens. ところでそのガンズのツアー振り返ってどうですか？あんなに巨大なツアーになると思ってたんでしょうか？その辺どうでしょうか？ I had no, I mean really I didn't have any. I mean, it was surprising in and of itself that we got together in the first place, and then did the first show. And the first show that we did was magic. That was unbelievable. And the first series of shows that we did around Coachella back in April of 2016, I guess it was. It was just such a huge thing for the guys in the band, for myself to be on stage with Duff and Axel and just have that chemistry. It was so powerful. I sort of, you forget, because it's been a lot of years since I've really jammed with both those guys. And it was really powerful. And just one thing led to another, and we just ended up having this amazing tour that you couldn't possibly dream of. It was a really great tour, and it lasted a really long time. I think it was the longest tour we ever did, because it was about 2.5 years. 印象的だったのはスラッシュとアクセルとダフがすごく楽しそうにステージでパフォーマンスやってたことですよ。あれはすごく印象的でしたね。No, it was, we really had a great time. I mean, there was no bullshit. It was like one of those situations. A lot of people like to show an appearance and look, saying, oh, it's great, it's this and that and the other, but the reality is something else. But for us, this whole thing was really a magical experience. The band was great, the fucking entourage, the crew, the whole production was just like this really great marriage of people, and we just all had a really great time, and the fans were amazing, so it was really epic. So I'm really happy that it happened. こうやってまたどうですか？なんかファミリーみたいな感じもしたんですけど、そういう感じはあったんじゃないでしょうか？ Yeah, no, it's very tight. It's very tight, very family-esque. It's really back to where everybody is really happy and comfortable, and we've sort of gotten rid of. There's a lot of bad influences going on back in the day that affected a lot of different things, and that's all been sort of cleared away. So now we're sort of back to normal.
So this kind of coincides with Richard Fortus' interview he gave to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, where he said about the new record, he said once he gets back from that, referring to Slash, saying Slash is on tour, we're going to get some more recording done and hopefully get an album out soon, and we'll get back to touring. Now, according to the calendar on Slash's website, he's going to return from Europe in mid-March, and that's when Alter Bridge is going to go back into the studio and start recording their next record, and then they're going to go back out on the road again in May, and after that, he won't have a significant stretch of time off until August. So shortly after the conclusion of the Not in This Lifetime tour, Fortus said, we're trying to try and do another record and get it out soon. He said, I think it'll happen faster than you think, and I sure hope it happens faster than you think. So back in 2017, he also admitted that the band had already done some recording with just some ideas, assembling ideas, but not going into the studio and actually tracking a record. Otherwise, they haven't been clear about their future plans. So in December, when Guns N' Roses played their final date in Honolulu, Hawaii, Axl said, we hope to keep this thing running, so we'll see what happens next. That also echoed an interview he gave in July to an Icelandic newspaper where he said, right now our focus is on touring and the shows, but everyone seems to be getting along, so you never know. And then there was also that rumor soon after that Guns N' Roses were recording a cover of the T-Rex song Children of the Revolution for a Mark Bowden tribute album, but that ended up being false. So we also had an interview with Mike Inez of Alice in Chains. So if you guys know, he played on the first Slash the Snake Pit record, It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere. So he gave an interview to LA Weekly where he talked about what it was like to play with Slash on that record and how he referred to the guitarist as his brother. So he said with Slash, he's a great lead player, but he has a lot of funk groove in his playing, Inez said. A lot of the time, the Marshall amps mask his feel a bit, but he has a pocket and the groove that's really special. And between me, Matt Sorum, Gilby Clark, and him, we had a really good thing. It was easy to track with Slash and Mike Klink on the boards. He said, we've played hundreds and hundreds of shows with William Duvall at this point worldwide. Every country I could think of. Inez recently told LA Weekly about Alice in Chains. We're still hitting in new countries and we're still hitting places we've never played before. Between the old band and the new band, obviously is a different singer and he's a different human being completely. I hate to compare Lane Staley to William because they're so two different guys. As far as William growing from the time that we started jamming with him in 2006, it's been 12 years of just touring, being in rehearsal spaces and recording studios, arguing over parts, and you either grow together in that kind of environment or you grow apart really quickly. I'm happy to report that after 12 years, we still love William, and it's a team sport for sure. We move like a basketball team. Every person basically plays their part. Now, with Slash being down under for his tour with the Conspirators in the last week or so, he's been doing a lot of interviews, and Slash recently spoke to an Australian television station about a myth that involves himself and Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards. So the interviewer apparently didn't do the research, and the exchange went as follows. So the interviewer asked Slash, so you moved to LA when you were just 5 years old, and by the time you were 13, you were meeting the likes of Keith Richards. Did he give you any advice? To which Slash responded, when I was 13 years old? The host agreed, yeah, that's what I was told. And Slash said, I actually wasn't Keith Richards, it was Ronnie Wood, but I was pretty much raised around a lot of musicians as a kid because both my parents were involved in the music business. So I was around artists a lot, but I met Ronnie over at Seymour Cassell's house, and Seymour's the guy who gave me the name Slash. But I wasn't playing guitar at the time, so Ronnie didn't have any advice to part with me at the time. The host responded, we're not really wanting advice, we're just basically digging for gossip, to which Slash said, oh, you really don't want to know what was going on, to which the host proclaimed, I do. Turning now to some Duff punk rock McKagan news. So he was in NAMM back in late January, and he gave a couple interviews, and he talked about how he basically became a bass player. So he said, I had this older brother, Bruce, who's a left-handed player, and I write left-handed. So I was originally a left-hander because he had a left-handed bass, and he taught me Birthday by the Beatles, which is a major blues scale. Basically, that was all I really knew, but that's enough to get you through a long time. He left the house, and I bought a Gibson EBO bass when I was 13 with paper route money from the Seattle Times. $125. I'm sure it was stolen. I got a guitar sometime after that, and I was a drummer also at the time. I played somebody else's drum kit and finally was able to scrap together enough money to get a drum kit of my own when I was probably about 17. So I had a bass, I had a guitar, and I had a drum kit. The decision was made to save up money to come to LA and try my hand down there. My drum kit was a piece of crap, so I sold that in Seattle. I had some money from work that I'd saved up, and by this time, the Gibson EBO, I don't know what happened to that thing. I got a Yamaha bass and I had a BC Rich double cutaway, Les Paul Jr. type of guitar. I moved down there and pawned my guitar a couple times. It turns out the guitar was stolen from LA 5 years prior to me coming to LA. The cops came to my apartment and took the guitar away, so all I had left was a bass. I had sold my drum kit, my guitar was taken by the LAPD, and I had a Yamaha bass, and that was right about the time that I met Slash through an ad in the recycler, and Izzy had moved across the street. Bass was basically what I was going to play, whether I liked it or not. That's all I had, and things lined up for me perfectly that I was going to be a bass player, and when Guns started, that's when I really started getting attention. That's when I really started paying attention to bass players. He also talked a bit about finding his sound on Appetite. He said the bass tone you hear on Appetite for Destruction is like a funk sound. I had to find a place to fit between Izzy's thinner guitar, Steven's kick and snare, and Slash's thicker, all-encompassing guitar and the vocal. And that's really important to find your space as a bass player and being comfortable in that space and owning that space and not trying to outshine anybody in the band. Or on the other hand, don't get taken over by the drummer who just wants to play fills on every break. You've got to massage all that stuff together. He also went on to say, if you're a bass player, Fender is the bass that all the greats play. That's the one you want to play. I did not have the money to do that. So when Guns started, I had a Yamaha bass and an acoustic 2x15 cabinet, which I still have. I don't know what my head was, but I had a sound that cut through. Things happened with Guns. We started playing more and more in LA, attracting bigger and bigger crowds, and we were writing what we thought were just great songs. And record companies started coming to gigs, and we got signed, and it did not happen overnight. I'm just shortening the story, but my point is we got advance, money to basically get gear and tattoos and stuff. We rehearsed right behind Guitar Center on Sunset. Sunset Strip and in Hollywood. So as a result, you would go around the corner, go into Guitar Center, and see the stuff you couldn't afford on a weekly basis. The Japanese Fender Jazz Special, this beautiful sounding white guitar with a black neck, was my dream bass. I would play it. I would be the guy who would come into Guitar Center and play the thing. He's here again, and he's not going to buy the stuff that the store employees would say. So we got our advance, and Slash and I went to the Valley to cash the check for the band, our portion of the advance. The bank teller was like, that's a lot of money, $30,000 for us to split to get gear, and they were not going to cash this check for us. They thought that we had stolen the check, and they had to call. Anyhow, we cashed the check, got the money, and went straight to Guitar Center. I went in and bought the bass. Finally, I had my Fender bass. The Japanese Fender Bass Jazz Special that I originally bought was the only one I took on the road for the Appetite Tour. So that does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and go check out my other YouTube channel, Rock and Roll True Stories. The link is down below. Take care.
Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!